Hey everyone, it's Maydad here from YNV Health and Wellness. And tonight, like every other Tuesday night, I'm joined with another health expert where we share information and positive advice on health and wellness, whether it be behavioral science, sleep deprivation, whatever the topic may be. Now, tonight's topic is on conscious parenting and healing our own inner child. Tonight, I'm joined by my good friend, Jeff Rieniets, who is a timeline therapy coach, a neurotransformation therapy practitioner, as I was saying, and a health and wellness expert. Welcome to tonight's Zoom, Jeff, and thank you for joining us, my friend.
Thank you, Maydad, and it's great to be here, mate. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and talk to the people out there who are up for listening. So thanks for the opportunity.
No, it's great seeing you, Jeff. It's been a while since we last spoke. I think the last time I seen you was several months ago. But and you know, we've kept in contact on Facebook and we've rung each other and that. But it's nice to see you here, interview you, and give you a chance to share what you've been up to and catch up and build that connection that we already have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's been great. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been face to face, but it's been a great journey, and I've been loving watching what you've been doing and creating for your audience. And you know, when I look back on my own journey in the last year and a half, 2 years, you know, I'm sort of really proud of that journey as well, and it's been really transformational for me. And yeah, and what I can do now compared to what I was doing, it's just a great space to be in. So happy to share.
Amazing, Jeff. It's so true in the way that you talk about the space that we're able to resonate with things that we weren't able to before, and have the mindfulness and awareness to act from a different spot, like rather than getting angry, rather than getting upset, being able to understand it for what it is and view it from a different perspective before we actually allow our cognitive bias to make a decision based upon our anger or our past moods. But Jeff, tonight, I'm going to ask you a series of questions and give you a chance to share a little bit about your journey in telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and if you could share that with some of our audience, I'm sure they will enjoy listening to your story, because you've shared some stuff with me in the past, and I know you've got a great story to share.
No, thanks, Maydad. Yeah, so my background is, I guess you could say, I'm an ex-teacher, workaholic I was. The biggest sort of thing that I was doing, that I was giving away all my energy and time to the kids and the schools I was working at. And I was really just going about life with this unawareness. And that's why I sort of chose this topic tonight about, you know, conscious parenting, because when I first had my child, who's 18 now, and I was really unaware of what it meant to be a dad. Sometimes I really sort of didn't realize what it meant to be a man as well. And due to my own past experiences and my own background and childhood upbringing. So for me, it was really interesting, where I was giving all this energy away, and my wife was really there asking and pleading with me at times, saying, you know, to seek support. And I was really just this wounded man that I didn't realize I was. At the time, I was making up excuses for, you know, I'm not as bad as other people. Look, I don't have enough time for that. You know, I don't have enough money. I was trying to do shortcuts and sort of read up this topic and talk to that person, but I was never really prepared to go for some deep dives. I tried doing some talk therapy through psychologists, mentoring as well, but I really wasn't seeing the impact that I was having on my children. And on my wife at the time. And so as a dad, I was out providing, I was out doing what I thought was the warrior thing, protector, getting the money, bringing it in, and I was doing my bit. But what I wasn't aware at the time, and what I wasn't doing, I wasn't providing that emotional stability and safety for my children and for my family. And it was really this big awakening I had one day, where I just realized that, yeah, I wasn't happy. I knew my family wasn't happy. And I guess luckily for me, I got this spiritual slap across the face to say, do something about it. I was lucky I didn't have a major crisis. You know, there was that typical sort of husband and wife dynamics of arguing, and I was repeating some old patterns of behavior, which was a real thing that really got to me. I was repeating a lot of what happened when I was a kid that I said I'd never do. And I guess I was lucky, where it really got to me one day, and I thought, well, enough's enough. I've got to invest in me. I've got to find out what is going on. I knew what my triggers were, but I knew I couldn't control them. And that's when I started really understanding the subconscious world and how I can have all the awareness about, okay, I'm getting angry, I'm getting reactive, but I didn't understand where they were coming from or how to shift them. And so I was talking to a really dear friend of mine, Kai, and I said to her, look, what have you been doing and what are you getting into? And she'd just done the training with Luke Hawkins and the NTT, Neurotransformation Therapy. And I just thought, okay, this sounds like what I need to get into. And again, I guess luckily for me, I came across a trauma-informed counselling course that I did a very short course on. And it was actually the thing that opened my eyes to my childhood trauma and that it was real. And one of the things that really jumped out for me, again, with the theme of parenting was the family dynamics is a very big trauma response in children. And it's one of those ones that's not talked about and it goes unhealed or unresolved in a lot of people. And that was me. So when I found that out, I thought, okay, I'm on the right path in my own personal healing, because what we know, of course, with this work as well, is that you actually have to heal yourself as a parent, as an adult, if you truly want to heal your child. We looked at the incidental, trauma that we were creating in our own children and the emotional instability in them through my behavior. And I just sort of realized that, enough was enough. I've got to do something about it. And look, luckily for me, I found the NTT world. I found Luke. It's where we met. And I learned about the subconscious. I learned about neurotransformational therapy. I learned about mindset. I learned about where our language and our thoughts and our focus creates our emotional state and how that creates our behaviors. And so that was the beginning of my world turning around for the better. And it really led to me becoming a very conscious parent, because I suddenly learned all my patterns of behavior and where they were coming from, how they were rising up. And then I was able to start to work to heal me. And since doing this, my relationship with my family and my children have literally done a backflip. We always had a good relationship, but it was never where I wanted to go. And now it's been able to go there because I've been able to, become more aware of myself and what I was doing. First one to apologize for any outbursts now, first one to be able to catch it as well. So, yeah, it's been a great transformation for me. In that whole world, I've given up being a teacher. I'm no longer a teacher. So my journey's actually moved me across into the wellbeing coaching mindset sector, which has been incredible. So the last, I think it's been 2.5, 3 years now, I've fully invested myself into that wellbeing coaching world, where I really want to empower and equip other adults and teenagers to be able to navigate and manage that world around them that can sometimes be so unpredictable and so chaotic. And so, yeah, that's a bit about my journey.
That's amazing, Jeff. Like, it's so much for another father like myself, and I can resonate with in what you're saying, the ability to catch yourself a little bit better. But it all started for me in working on me and understanding and having a better relationship with myself, having a better relationship with not being angry at the past and not being angry with not being able to provide or do certain things, and understand that we're all working towards something at our own pace. And it has changed the dynamics in my family as well. So that's a great share, Jeff. Especially, at this present point, I'm trying to change the dynamics in the family relationship where we are able to build more connection and create more quality time together, going away to places where we weren't doing it in the past for some time. My daughter does dance and my son plays soccer. There's a cliche of what she's not into that, he's not into that. But now we're learning to support each other and work as a family. But Jeff, the other question I wanted to ask you is, I know how much you love this work and that, but what really got you into this line of work? And what do you really love about working in this line of work?
Yeah, it's a great question. I guess I've been very fortunate. What got me into it was the wanting to heal myself, like you said, wanting to actually heal myself so I could be a better dad, be a better husband, be a better person. And
couldn't agree more, Jeff. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And so when I then went down that pathway, I guess also the teaching. When I was a teacher, I never focused on the academic, which also got me a lot of criticism. But my teaching was all about the relationships. So I was always mentoring. I was always coaching kids I was with anyway. And so I've always had this passion for helping teenagers. And I think really what got me into it was that I knew my woundings and I knew my challenges. And I just didn't want to see other people go through that. I didn't want to see other dads struggle. I didn't want other dads to be as reactive as I was. I didn't want other teenagers to have parents or dads who were reactive to them and didn't see them for who they were. And so I really felt that my calling was to be almost this conduit for a teenager to understand the adult world and for the adult to understand the teenager world. And then from my own past experiences, I really wanted to empower kids and teenagers because my perception was a terrible teenagehood, really, and I had a lot of challenges, and I didn't want kids to go through that same struggle. So I wanted to use this knowledge to actually really empower them. And even with dads, as I said, I didn't want dads to have to struggle with the craziness of being a brand new dad and navigating that, being a man and being a partner, being that caretaker and provider. So that I just felt this calling. And so for me, it was a no-brainer, quitting teaching and stepping into this mindset, this coaching world. And so ever since then, like my wife and I have been able to create an emotional wellness program for teenagers deliberately, because again, with my teaching background, we saw that schools weren't really effectively holding that wellbeing space for kids. And we had people coming out the end who were academic, but we didn't see them grounded and well, sort of how to navigate some of the stresses that were around them. So we just thought that this is the place to be in. My wife's an art therapist and a play field therapist as well. So we've got this passion again for really helping kids at these more formative younger ages and giving them that emotional and social awareness. They can then be more empowered, more confident, and as I said, more equipped to deal with the world around them and know how to navigate it, know how to talk about their human needs and emotional needs, be able to use communication language that actually comes across as assertive, and really be able to stand in their power and their confidence.
It really is a topic you just shared about that really doesn't get tapped on at school at all. Regardless of how good grades a person gets, they can graduate and walk out of school. But those emotional intelligence, those lifestyle skills are not really taught at school. You are set to your own devices to evolve. And a lot of that comes back to the home and the way you're brought up and your environment. And, you know, as a parent listening to what you have to say as a father, and it's almost like we really are all wounded. And with those wounds, learning to acknowledge and the great involvement that I've been able to make and listening to you speak, I think you can resonate with this probably as well, is to acknowledge that there are wounds there, but how are we going to give the best of ourselves and create the best outcome and service the needs of our child the best we can, regardless of the wounds, because those wounds have made us better from it.
Well, and that's important to recognize too. Like we talk about that our role as a parent or an adult is to heal 7 generations of trauma that's been passed down the lineage. And it's us to protect our children under us. And so we can't do that without this type of awareness and to know what to look out for. And that's why we've got to heal ourselves. If we can't heal ourselves, we can't help our children who are under us. But it was also really important what you said then too, mate, Dad, around that meaning. Our woundings are by design. You know, they are meant to be there for us to have this spiritual growth and understanding of who we are. They're meant to be there. And I didn't know this as a kid, and I didn't know this as a young dad, but I now know it now. And it's why I teach it. Those woundings are by design so that we actually get challenged to step into our true potential and our true power. And they are literally like signposts everywhere. And if we don't look out for them and if we don't create that positive meaning from them, then we become a victim and they do wound us, but they're actually not meant to be a wounding. They're meant to be an empowering way of
an educational lesson. Unfortunately, Jeff, as you shared, too many people go through life without wanting to address and acknowledge growth. And if anybody out there is looking at working on their personal growth and stuff, regardless whether you're a dad or a mom, whether you're a lifestyle executive or whatever position and status you hold in your life, that is what is going to help you with your inner happiness. And from that, life goes on. But Jeff, what is it that you really love about the work that you do? Because I've shared many moments with you in prac, in person, having lunch, sitting down, talking together during team building stuff, where you've shared a lot of your views on things, but what is it that you really love about doing this work?
It's got to be the relationships, that relational side of it, I believe. Just really working with someone and seeing their growth, helping them find their aha moment, and really just empowering them, just really being able to equip and empower them so they know that they can take control of their life, and that all their past experiences, they're not determined by that. So I really just love being able to show people that there's a new opportunity, there's a new opening if they want to step into it and do the work. And it is still hard work. It's no easy magic pill to take, that's for sure. But just being able to present them that hope and that opportunity, show them their past and how that doesn't define their future, and show that their past is a set of circumstances that really that they can manipulate now and change in the present moment now to just catapult them to anywhere they want to be. I'm fascinated about the mind and how it works. I've always been passionate about helping others, and so for me, this is just the perfect calling. And it's it's just actually a deep love. Like we talk about a sole purpose for being here on earth, and I just so fortunate that I've fell into that now, and I've found my sole purpose for being here. So it's just a great privilege to be in this space.
It's such a great environment to be in. And I think as we see more and more people becoming more conscious of this environment, not whether they want to be coaches or practitioners or anything like that, but in their own personal growth, in their own personal pursuit of happiness. Jeff, I know we've talked about great transformations we've experienced in both our practices and that. Are there any particular ones that stand out without having to mention any names that you would like to share?
Yeah, I've got two that really jump out, I guess. And one is a young dad. He's got a few kids. I won't say how many because I don't want to point that out as well. But he's got a few kids and he had a few troubles. And like he reminded me of myself a lot. We're very reactive, had probably some very hard parenting at the time. Our perception as a child. So he had this big perception that he wasn't loved, wasn't good enough, wasn't worthy enough. And it really came in his behavior, then came out where it was very reactive, very defensive. And he really impacted on his family, to the point where him and his partner have now separated. And he's still going through the battles of being able to see his own kids, who he loves dearly, but he knows he's significantly impacted on him. But what I love about this story is the work through doing with him and guiding him along this journey. There's been literally a 180-degree transformation in this guy where he's taken ownership of his behavior. He's accountable for that. He knows what he's done. He understands where it came from. He's been able to heal that, I guess you could say. He's been able to move from that. He's been able to heal the family dynamics around him. And so even though his relationship it's not mendable, he's okay with that. He's able to sit with that. And he lives in that hope of being able to reconnect with his kids. And he knows that when that day comes, he's going to be a vastly different man, a different dad at that moment. So he's been a great success story because he's done the work. He's done the daily routines. He's really looked at his past and been very reflective, but not critical, I guess, very, very reflective. And as I said, taking accountability for it. And he's just been a great success story with the regression work and healing those inner woundings that he had from his own childhood and understanding where they came from. The other one's a teenager, and this is the power of this work. So this young boy, unfortunately, he's about 17 years old, and he had some very big trauma after COVID because of the lockdowns. His dad was a nurse. He was very in that fear state that he was going to die. The world, everyone around him was going to die because all the narrative, unfortunately, that our media and our government bombarded us with, it put a lot of fear into him, and his dad going off to the hospital every day. So he became very social anxious. So where he could not even leave the house, or if he left the house, he would be sick and he'd vomit, and he had a lot of gut issues because of it. But what's been great about this over the last, it's only been probably the last 6 months of working with this boy. I've seen some amazing transformation in him where he doesn't feel as sick in his stomach anymore. He still has to catch himself. He does some of these techniques that we know, like a pattern interrupt and so forth. He's able to visualize how he wants to be, knew some of that mindset practices. And this boy now is able to sit through exams. He's able to minimize the impact in his stomach that he's feeling. But in 6 months, he's been able to feel different, and he's being able to do different. And look, the holidays are coming up, and he's actually looking to celebrate, trying to catch up with friends, and he's changed his whole focus on what holidays and what life can be. So they're two really great success stories.
No, that's a great share, Jeff. If those of you don't understand exactly what a pattern interrupt is, Jeff, can you share with them? And we've just been joined by Nadia. Hi, Nadia. Thank you for joining us. And if you could share a little bit about pattern interrupt and what it meant to him.
Yeah, so another word, I use this more for teenagers, I call it a thought interrupt. So really when we realize we are feeling, or we've got this sensation of maybe dread or fear or something protecting us. And so most times we catch it when we have a thought, I can't, or I won't, or I'm not good enough, or whatever. And so the idea is we interrupt straight away at that point so that we don't end up doing fear or doing anxiety or doing anger. And so the idea is to catch ourselves the moment we feel, sense that negativity, and we program into ourselves a new thought, an empowering thought, and an empowering visualization that actually takes us to doing what we want to do. And for this boy, for example, so he would literally, he would see the front door. He would then straight away think, I can't go out that door, I'm going to die. He would then feel sick in his gut. And of course, then he wouldn't. So he's now doing anxiety. So what we taught him to do was when he saw the door, he had a different thought. That was then that thought interrupt, or that pattern interrupt. So we put a new thought in there. We gave him a new sensation, and then he was able to move out through the door and not feel as sick in his stomach. That's a basic example of what it is.
Pattern interrupt. That's incredible, like how psychology has such an impact on us in visualization. I know when I was competing in sport, I had a coach that was taking me through stuff like you could say like timeline work, where he was able to take me through visualization techniques and that prior to the event, and it enabled me to perform at a better level, to visualize myself, to see myself doing what I wanted to do. And then when it came to reality, things were to be that way. But Jeff, I wanted to ask you if you had any upcoming events. I know you're always doing something with the schools and you're working with kids and adults and stuff, but have you got any upcoming events or anything that you want to share about that you are doing that's coming up?
Yeah, so we're expanding. So my wife and I were saying before, we run a kids emotional wellness program. It's basically like a nature-based program, but it's very much hyper-focused on social emotional literacy. And what we're doing next year, for those people who are living sort of down in Victoria on the Geelong Surf Coast area, we're actually expanding that to a second day next year. So if anyone's got a child from the ages of 6 up until 15 years old, then for them to definitely get in touch with me. I'm also looking to sort of move that into different parts of the state as well, and into New South Wales also. So I'm also looking for any mindset coaches or people who can hold this space really well and work with younger kids. So to actually set up some different emotional or basically like hubs like this. So we call our program Kids in Nature, or KIN. And so I'm looking to expand that and really get this out to the wider communities, I guess, because the more people we've got working in this space that can hold that emotional awareness for kids and help them understand it and navigate it and have strategies to move with it and be confident and safe in their emotions, we're going to have healthier adults later in life. And so that's one thing we're looking to do.
That's such a important space too, because kids don't have the same minds and involvement as adults, and that really is a skill to be able to hold that space and understand that space. I know kids coming to my gym, some from all different walks of backgrounds, troublesome and not, anxiety, autistic, different behavioral patterns, really requires me to tune in. And I'm working on my skills, and I'm always learning more from them than they could ever learn off me. But you are right. That is really a skill that really requires, a lot of attention and understanding.
And this is the importance for, again, why I chose this topic tonight, the importance for parents, not just dads, but for women as well, for mums. You know,
Yes.
when we can attune to ourselves and we understand our own triggers, we understand our own limiting beliefs or whatever's going on for us, then we can actually parent from that place of consciousness. We don't then repeat what's happened to us onto our children. And I love that word you said, attuning, because that's the key. We don't look at the behavior of a child. We understand the emotions and the struggles that are underneath that behavior. You know, our training's allowed us to understand that behavior is a protectant. It's a protection of a fear or a trauma or something. And so if we can put the behavior aside and we look at the human being who's had a struggle or going through struggles, and we're there for them for that, man, that's the power of what we do and the power of what you're doing in the gym. So it's the power of what Kaz and I do with these kids, and it's what I do part-time at a school as well. So yeah, we need more of these programs.
I think it's like anything, if we could just create that environment, whether it be a classroom, a gym, a playground, a sporting field, wherever the beach, wherever that environment may be, and we can make them feel that comfortable to open up, where they can grow, evolve, and just be. I know we had a child coming down the stairs several months ago, and as he was coming down the stairs, he was crying. He didn't even want to look at me, and let alone come into the gym. But he ended up coming into the gym, and his mum brought him down. It was almost like she forced him down, and he walked around, had a look at the gym, talked to me, and I thought I'd never see him again because he was getting bullied at school. He just wasn't the type of kid that looked like he had any interest in playing sport or anything. Like today I trained him. He does a 45-minute session with me every week on a Tuesday afternoon. And his transformation in ability to communicate with me and evolve and share with me all the different stories and the different things that are happening in his life has enabled me to understand and see his personal growth and evolving into confidence, with self-esteem, with just exuberating like so much positive energy, as opposed to before looking at the floor and avoiding eye contact. And that is really a really rewarding thing for me. But Jeff, I know you're doing a lot of great things, and thank you for catching up with me tonight on this live Zoom. If any of our viewers are looking and watching this back want to learn a little bit about more on what you do, where you're at, how do they get in contact with you? Like your Facebook page, your Instagram, your website? Can you share?
Yeah, thanks. So basically my full name. So if they actually just do a Google search of Jeff Rieniets, and then I'm on the major ones. So it's Jeff Rieniets Coaching for Instagram, Jeff Rieniets just on Facebook. And so I've got an Empowered Man Facebook page as well. That's just a private page as well. So the people, if they contact me via Facebook and do a friend request, then I can bring them into that Empowered Man. That's a closed group of men that we share the neuroscience information. And just, again, these type of conversations that I share information to them to help empower and equip them. And we share sometimes what's going on in each of the person's lives. LinkedIn as well. Don't really have a website, but I've got a landing page that's under my own name again, Jeff Rieniets Coaching, or the Empowered Man. It's a landing page that I've used on Canvas. So that basically, I guess the easy way to do it. Also, my full name is my email, so jeffrieniets@protonmail.com. So Proton Mail is the easy way to get to me, and then I can actually send information out to anybody who's out there. Yeah, I work with groups. I work one-to-one. Looking to run some retreats next year for men, but also retreats for dads and boys. So rite of passage style retreats around the Surf Coast area, Geelong Surf Coast area. So yeah, and phone number as well. So if you know people, happy for you to share them my phone number as well. But yeah, that's the easiest way to get hold of me.
Thanks for sharing, Jeff. That is, just so you know, Jeff is with JEFF. Rieniets is RIENIETS. Jeff.
Perfect.
Jeff, so cool having you here and catching up with you. We haven't seen each other for quite some time, but it's always been a pleasure, talking to you and sharing with one another. for those of you that are watching, I'll just end tonight's Zoom by just sharing with you about our upcoming event. I'm running an event on the 7th of December here in Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia, that is a half-day retreat that is going to be started at 6 a.m. in the morning on Bondi Beach with a yoga session with our practitioner and yoga expert, Emmeline. She's going to be teaching us breath work, human movement, and yoga. And from that, we're going to move back to Bondi Boxing Gym, where we're going to be served beverages and do a human movement workout. Straight after that workout, we're going to be doing some neurotransformation therapy, where I'll be sharing some of my experiences and talking about vision sessions and empowering you on your journey and allowing you to share some thoughts and checking in on your trajectory. Later on, we're going to be eating great, delicious foods from Up South Cafe, which is going to be serving us detoxing smoothies and some healthy meals. From that, we're going to take a walk to Nimbus Health Center, where we're going to all have an ice bath, support and motivate each other. And we're going to conclude the session, the morning half-day retreat, with some acai bowls and a nice little talk. It's going to be an amazing day. And if you want to learn more, simply call me on 0402 622 662 or look me up on Mayday Ronan's coaching. Jeff, it's been an amazing Zoom to have with you and chat with you. And I look forward to catching up with you in person next time I'm in Melbourne or Victoria, or when you're here in Sydney. So in saying that, have an amazing evening, Jeff, and to all our viewers, take care, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget that every week, Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time, we aim to give the best of ourselves in sharing ongoing education on health and wellness, where I am joined by another health expert communicating and sharing about behavioral science, breath work, sleep deprivation, diet, nutrition, gut health, autoimmune diseases, and anything that we can use to empower you and share with you. If you want to learn more about this, you can simply email me at ynvhealthandwellness@hotmail.com, or look me up on Facebook at Maydad Ronan Coaching, or Instagram #Maydad Ronan Coaching. Have an amazing evening, everyone, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time. Take care. I'm gonna stop the recording 1 second. Nadia, how do I stop the recording? I just forgot how to do it.
Press stop.
Oh, it stopped already. Okay, I didn't realize I stopped it already. I got carried away. But anyhow, how are you, Nadia?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Hello, Nadia.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. Nice to hear your voice.
I know. It's been a long time.
It has been, yeah. Well, congratulations on stepping out in the big bad world and what you've been doing as well.
Oh, yeah. I've got big adventures, lots of things happening.
Yeah,
It's not so bad, Jeff, when I think the more empowered we feel, kind of learn to navigate through it. What do you reckon, Nadia?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's
Really,
exciting. It's exciting what you're doing and what you're both doing. Like, this is
really
great.
lucky, Jeff. I'm really lucky, Jeff. Honestly, like, I'm not the a whiz kid on computers or anything. I keep saying that. Nadia keeps yelling at me, don't say that. But every day, even now, Nadia played a trick on me. She didn't turn up at the start, and she let me do it myself, and I did it, and I feel
Did
empowered.
very well.
I walked away from
Nobody died.
Nadia. I feel empowered. I feel I'm buzzing. Like tomorrow, I've got a session with my neurotransformation therapy client who is lost already 17 kilos. He's fucking kicking goals. He's amazing. The guy owns like a taste baguette place, and he's been eating food there and stuff. And I've stopped him from doing that. He's having his cold showers, and we're training, and he's just changed. He's gone from being, yeah, it's amazing, Nadia and Jeff, how many men out there who are
Yeah.
living lonely lives and who are suicidal and who are
Oh, yeah.
financially equipped to afford whatever, but they just have never taken the time out to heal those wounds. Like Jeff, tonight was really cool to hear, and I've written notes down as you can see right here when you talked about us all having wounds and the ability to acknowledge that we have those wounds, and in doing so be able to share and aim to give the best of ourselves to our child, to our kids, for them to navigate through life positively and without having to deal with what we have to deal with, or we had to deal with,
Yeah. Yeah, look, for me, look, I didn't say it on the Zoom thing, but I think for me, it was when I finally stopped making excuses. I work with a lot of men, and I'm on a few men chats, and I see the men who still make excuses for their behavior. Oh, yeah, but they did this. Oh, but I was just whatever. I'm like, nah. When you finally cut that out and you don't make excuses because you've got this ideal picture of how you want to interact with your kids, then, yeah, you hold yourself accountable. And then that's, again, the power of when you can make these changes sort of become real. So, and that was a big one for me. And that's the same with other men, like the guy you're coaching. He's obviously just realized, nah, I'm taking action. I'm being accountable for these decisions, and I'm doing what's right.
He went to Thailand, Nadia and Jeff. He went to Thailand for a good 2 weeks before he came to me. And he tried to do some therapy coaching there and that. And all he did, he ended up partying and that, doing some coaching and partying. And he came back and he goes, no. I walked into his shop and I literally swear to God, Jeff and Nadia, I bought a diary with my wife from the paper shop, which is next door. It's 2 shops down from him. And I walked into his shop to get my wife a coffee, and I had the diary in my hand, and I saw him, and he goes, "You're mate 𝙇𝙤𝙗." And I said, "Yeah." And I go, "You must be so-and-so. The mechanic's been telling me about you." And he goes, "Yeah, your mechanic is my mechanic, and I've been meaning to call you. I've looked at your car 10 times." And I got the diary that I bought, and I said to myself when I bought the diary, I'm going to buy this diary for a reason, to journal for someone or for some important purpose. I just saw it and I just bought it. I don't know why, I just bought it. And I handed it to him and I said, "What are you doing now?" And he said, "Mate, I'm having a really bad day. Can you see me right now?" I said, "Great." I said, "Linda, I'll drive you home." I told him to meet me at the park across the road, and bang, we've been kicking goals ever since. And I've used the SMART principle, the little method of, NLP: smart, measurable, achievable, target, achievable goals, achievable target goals. And it's worked. Like from one day, 1 week is just have a cold shower. The next week is just let's start journaling. The next week is let's go shopping together. Let's get a little bit more active. And from that, we've been able to get to where we are. And God willing, and if he keeps going with this, he's only just going to get better and better.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And it's just how amazing for you being in that right place at the right time, being there. That's that divine part of it where you just go, wow, and being able to help that person, not do unfortunately, what 8 men a week do, suicide. So it's incredible.
I'm sure Nadia knows, I know so many people that have committed suicide, people that I've gone to school with. I can name at least 3. I went out with a girl and somebody told me she'd commit suicide, like nothing to do with me. This was like years and years and years after I'd met her, like probably 20 years after when I was after high school, and I found out she committed suicide. And I just, even just to think about that and to think about that, I shared a special moment, an intimate, not just physical, but an intimate moment like I'm sharing with you and that I share with Nadia, with the ability, and then that person is no longer here, is really moving for me,
It's sad. Yeah, it's sad when they get to that point where they feel that the only way to stop the pain is to exit the earth, that they just feel that there's nothing and no one can help them, and that the world and the people around them they're better off without them not being there. It's just, it's not a good place to go. That's for sure.
Let me put a question to you and Nadia while you're here. When we talk about pain, what is pain? What is pain?
or discomfort. So it's, I always use this language where we're trying to become comfortable in discomfort. So discomfort is there to guide us. It's there to empower us, I guess you could say. So pain is just the same. Pain is just, it's the test, isn't it? Are you going to step up or are you going to step down? And so whether it be physical pain or emotional pain, it's a challenge point. It's asking us to take action. It's asking us to do something with it and transform it and move that pain. Some people just don't think they can, or they become so overwhelmed that they think the only way to release the pain is, unfortunately, suicide or drugs or alcohol or sex or those sort of things. It's all masking. It's just another form of masking it, really. It's trying to numb the
really
pain.
facing reality and taking action, responsibility.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nadia?
Well, really, yeah, it's exactly that. It's a like we go through homeostasis until we can't deal with something. So we wait long until there's something different.
Yeah.
Choice.
Yeah.
Like with that, we change it.
You know, I just had a reflection in what you both were saying there, and something came to mind in relations to discomfort. There are so many cultures where they are systemically faced with discomfort, faced with adversity, and it becomes the norm. I know when I was in New Zealand, there was third generation, fourth, five generation unemployment, single parenting, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, divorce, 5 generations, you know. It becomes so systemic. It becomes such a toxic negative environment that it's almost impossible to break through unless you take that child or you take that person completely away from that environment, even if it means going to another country.
Yep.
And that's why you see a lot of the people a lot of kids that were in social welfare in New Zealand ending up moving to places like Queensland, Brisbane, coming to Australia, coming to Sydney, and getting away from that whole toxic environment, because it's those centers, those bodies of housing that has enabled kids to be childly abused, be sexually abused, and develop a lot of these traumas where they felt that they'll be safe in. And I know New Zealand especially, I don't know about Australia, I can't communicate, I can't share that, I can't, and I can only speculate. There's probably events like this happening everywhere, all around the world, globally. But I know for a fact, having so many groups in New Zealand taking kids through, to be even like just tapping someone on the shoulder and saying, can you come and join us in this class, for them to freak out and knowing that it's not really my fault, but it's just a modality, a state that they've referred to in the past where they were abused. And I was just politely like, can you come and join us in line? We're just about to start the class. It's a dance class and would love to have you here. And they've just reacted differently from it. But I think what I've really learned from all this journey is the ability to empower myself and understand what I've done wrong, to understand my wounds, and to be able to empower myself with my own education. And you shared something really beautiful today, Jeff, about the ability to catch yourself mid-flight, to catch yourself and say, do I really need to get angry? I was driving the car the other day and this guy kept cutting me off, and he cut the other person off in front. And I looked at my son and I didn't even say, what a fucking dickhead, which what I usually do, you know, look at that fucking idiot, you know. I just looked at my son. My son said it. And I turned around and said, oh, son, there's no really need to say that. He does what he does. The fact that he didn't hit us, and so be it, you know. And usually, I'd yell and scream. And even when I came back from work today, I was driving towards the roundabout, and this Aussie guy was in a car chasing this guy, this Indian guy, saying, go back to fucking India, you know. Get off the road, you idiot. And they was chasing him. I don't know what he was chasing him for, but he was just yelling at each other from one car to another. And I looked at them and I realized, is this how I used to look? You know, because it's yeah. Sometimes you just need to catch yourself. What's purpose that you know, that anger is not going to solve anything. You know, it's just going to lead to problems, and before you know it, the police will come, and who knows, you might get arrested, and you know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good place to be in
it
when
is.
you're not controlled by your emotions and you can control them.
You know, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think sometimes it's nice to be emotionally driven if your spirit there's a connection, there's a positive outlet from it. Like I know that I'm emotionally driven to look after my kids and give them the best that I can. Just like that incident today with a neighbor. And I've been able to catch myself and assert myself in a way that I haven't been able to assert myself. And all these little lessons that I learn from different people and different things, you know, like advice. I'm happy to take advice. And if it's servicing me in a proper way, then great. But if it's not, and I don't think that it's, I need it, then that it is what it is. You know, and I just kind of move on, and doesn't mean I've wiped that person out. I'm always willing to listen to their advice and all that sort of stuff. But if it's not serving me and it doesn't have its right point right now for me, then I'll learn to go with it. But you know, yeah.
You know, it's a great position where you're in, you know, talking to people every week, doing this sort of stuff. It's such a reflective space to be in for yourself also. So you're going to get these little ahas and little moments of wisdom yourself. And, you know, it's all about that self-reflection. Every time we keep hearing and listening to others and we can go back into that reflective state, that's what I think the goal is. Yeah, we're just going to keep evolving every time we could have, you know, keep reflecting, keep understanding, be creating more and more awareness every time.
Yeah, I think this is what's the great thing about developing this sort of platform. And it's so educational for me to talk to different coaches, practitioners in all fields. We've had a great bloke, Dave Pemberton, who's a breath coach. He teaches the Boutique breathing method. We had a guy who talks about sleep deprivation, Dr. Mark Levi, who's really a dentist, but he's an expert on the field of sleep apnea and deprivation and study of sleep, and us being able to get deep REM sleep. And the other time that we had him, he spoke about something that resonated with me ever since. And I spoke to someone about it today because he was talking about ADD. And ADD, there was a study in America, and they did a study on about 100 kids. And I think this professor and doctor diagnosed 50% of them of having ADD. And really, they didn't have ADD. What it was, they had sleep deprivation. So they weren't getting enough deep REM quality sleep. And as a result, weren't able to focus and function the way they should. Their results were poor. And when they did fix that, they were able to make great transformation. And it's amazing how today people are quick to label that person this, that person is hyperactive, where really maybe they just aren't enjoying what they're doing, or maybe they just losing focus because they just don't like what they're doing. They're not in the right environment, or there's some behavior that is, you know, that's triggering that, you know?
Well, boys and girls learn differently. And the thing is, what frustrates me with schools is their big labeling of boys, ADHD, ADD. And a lot of times it's just, sorry, they're a boy. They're meant to be outside. They're meant to be running, climbing, hanging out of a tree upside down. They're meant to be wrestling, rolling in the mud. They're meant to be exploring. That's the boy's natural environment, not sitting down in a classroom being told to sit down, be quiet, and to be still and not to move. Like it goes against their primal instinct. And so then they get labeled of, oh, you're disruptive, or you're just a bad boy, or you're, you know, got a behavioral issue, or you're ADHD. But you're right. You go back to food, you go back to sleep, you go back to that home environment. Is the home environment also stressful? Are the parents fighting and arguing? So the kid's nervous system's ramped up. But all these other factors that need to be taken into consideration. But unfortunately, as we know, ADHD is a big pharmaceutical money earner as well. So it's all put them on medication, medicate.
When was the last time that you, Nadia, or I ever seen one of our kids or any of the kids walking through the streets with all mud on them? You know, like we used to. Remember us growing up, how we used to jump in mud, run through, do British Bulldog, and all come home and we're all dirty, and mum and dad would just yell there. How did
Yep.
you get so messy? But this is the thing today, and I think this has a lot to do, and I don't know what your view is or Nadia's view is about on this, but I think part of the reason we have such a huge influx of ADHD kids who are labeled with ADHD, kids with autism and all that sort of stuff, is social media, and is their inability to interact socially and not making an effort to go out, play tips, play hide and seek, play British Bulldog, roll in the mud, run outside, ride the BMX bike, go through a skateboard ramp or something like that, go surfing, swim, and explore life, real life, rather than being on TikTok, on Instagram, playing TV games, Xbox and all that. There is so much of that has really disturbed the way people evolve today. And I think it really is affecting, and it's showing through our young ones today. And that's a perfect example.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah, massively. There again, to me, it always comes back to the nervous system. When they're on social media, the way it's designed with the noises, the lighting, it's overstimulating their brain, and they're just wired so much they don't know how to then bring it back down. The phones are pinging. Snapchat's a big one. If they don't respond to that Snapchat, they get blocked by someone, and so they're constantly. It's almost like a modern day threat, and so it's really just overactivating them, and they don't know how to slow back down. They don't know how to ground themselves down, and as you said, disconnect to their body. So they don't know how to move their body. They're not as athletic anymore, the majority of them.
The neuroplasticity, the neural awareness through human movement has been so disengaged, where we are going backwards, like the whole human movement, the whole awareness, the whole ability to use left side of your brain. It's not people. It's just less and less with all this AI and relying on different things. Now, don't get me wrong. I use ChatGPT to fix my spelling and all that other stuff, but just today, I just see it so much.
Yeah,
at the gym.
It's overused. Yeah, I agree with that. It's all about, we've lost the balance. It's the curvature, we've moved across the pendulum too far. We've lost that balance of it. It's got purpose and benefit, but not when it's consumed too much. And that's unfortunately what's been pushed heavily.
I don't know about you, Jeff, but I can't count the amount of times that I've hit people on the road trying to cross the road while they're on their iPhone, and then they see me and they go, oh, usually girls. I apologize. It's not, Nadia will probably agree. Usually girls on the iPhone, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, but they're so fixated on that phone, not even to be aware that they're going to get run over. And you know what? I stopped and watch, and they go, oh, and they get the shock of their life. And I'm sure it's not the first time, but they're so fixated. It's almost like they're glued to that screen.
Yeah. There's a really good leadership guy called Simon Sinek. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't. Nadia?
Yeah, he's good. I love him.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. So Simon Sinek, Sinek. He does a lot of, he's a corporate leadership specialist. He does a lot of TED Talks and speech, talking on leadership, but in the corporate world. But I use a lot of his theory with education and working with teenagers and men. But I was watching one the other day. He was looking at the phone, and he was just basically saying, like, if you have to pick your phone up to go somewhere or move rooms or change around, you've got a problem. If you've got to have your phone in your pocket all the time, you've got a problem. If you've got to have your phone, so even if it's at a dining table, but you've put it on the dining table and you've turned it upside down to try to be polite, you've got a problem. And he just started going through all this addiction, it's literally like the baby blanket. When we're all little babies, we carry this little blankie around, and the mobile phone has become this little computer. But our kids, they've been born with them, literally, for some families. I mean, I remember babysitting a family years ago. It was a friend when our kids were all both young. And I said, go out for the night. And okay, what time I got to go to bed? Yep, this time. And I was like, oh, just give them the iPad and they'll fall asleep with it. And I was like, you're kidding me.
Terrible.
What? And yep, sure enough, I walked in there later on, the iPad's still running and the kid's asleep. And I thought, this is just not healthy, not right. And this is going back, oh God, 12, it's going back 17 years, 15 years ago. So yeah, and just a lot of Simon Sinek stuff is really good. It's just all about, common sense. Yeah, but I'd love that one about the phone. Just if you really always feel you've got to have it on you always, you've got a problem.
Yeah, I moved it away from the table while I'm doing this Zoom and that. But I think the really interesting that really woke me up is about sleep deprivation with Mark Levi. I met him probably 3 years ago, and he did a sleep study on me. And one of the things I realized through doing studies and that is in my room, our room, I reduced the temperature to be cool for me to get good quality sleep. I removed all electrical devices, no phone in there, and just created an environment for me to aim and get the best quality sleep I can. I did my box breathing and that, and I learned so much from it. And now, every day without fail, before I go to work, whether it's 4 a.m, I have my cold shower, I come back and pray, and then I meditate, and I do my breath work, and I do whatever I need to do to turn up as the best version of myself and have a clear head. And I do the same when I come back in the afternoon. I sleep for about 45 minutes and I meditate and go back to work again. And this has become a ritual for me. You could call it a siesta or whatever. It's become a ritual for me, and enable me to turn up and not turn up miserable and go through my day like really tired and that, because really that tiredness and that fatigue, when that sets in, I tend to become a little miserable, and this has really allowed me. It's been like a magic pill,
That's great. Yeah. I'm a big one on that. And good night routines. But you're physical too. You're moving throughout the day, which is great, because that also is conducive. Where a lot of other people, unfortunately, sit down for a lot of their day at the office or at the computer at the desk. So we're not conditioned. We're not meant to be doing that. It's not how we're programmed to do it. We're meant to be actually moving our bodies and actually burning energy, so we do go to bed tired. But I'm going to look him up. Is it Mark Levi? Is it
Dr. Mark Levi? He's a dentist, but he does a lot of stuff on. He is an expert on sleep deprivation and sleep study. But what was I going to say? Yeah,
I'll look him up. Yeah.
A really good bloke. I trained his brother for months. His brother David Levi, I trained him, and both in completely different fields, but really intelligent bunch of guys. One is in the corporate world, the other one is more into health and medicine and all that stuff. But really cool, And he was amazing, Mark, wasn't he, Nadia?
Yeah, I'll have to do it again.
Yeah, really good guy. If he ever has the time, he's always traveling around the world, sharing his insight on things. But Jeff, thank you for taking time to catch up with us. It's been great. Let's keep in touch more often, not just because of Zoom, just share a few ideas, bounce off each other, and it's like I'm like Nadia's been helping me, and like I said, I couldn't do all this stuff, and I'm learning to do some of this stuff on my own now, which is really cool. And I'm working on a lot of different things that I have in mind, but one thing at a time.
No, definitely. I'll share the as I said, I've got a bit of a template for this boy fathers and sons retreat. So I'd love to bounce it off you anyways. I mean, just bounce it around. You might be able to add to it. You might be able to use it yourself as well. Like, imagine having one up there at Bondi as well. So I know.
And likewise, like the Honey and Handsome or other stuff because I mean, like, you are in a relationship, you've seen struggles in the relationship, you've experienced the turmoil, and like, like I've shared this with a couple of times. I think Nadia will put her hand up for that as well. That I've shared on Zooms, that when you're in a relationship, especially as a dad, I'm sure you can relate to this because your kids are older than mine slightly. My son's 16, yours is 18. But what do you call it? When you get into a relationship, you go through the honeymoon period and all that stuff, everything's sweet and you're alone before the kids are born. the dynamics are really different because you're number one. But when a child is born, you are no longer number one. You become number three because a child is first, she's second, and you're number three. And then when you have two kids, you become number four. And for a lot of men, I've got guys at my gym that have gone through a divorce. I'm really surprised that they even got into a relationship because they're not ready for a relationship. And I know someone could say, who am I to qualify who's ready for a relationship or not? But from what I've seen, I wouldn't want anyone that I cared for dating them because they just simply haven't got anything together. Yet they're dads, you know, and they're suicidal. They're going through their own trauma and that, but they rushed into things without acknowledging, without accepting the fact that those wounds need to be healed in order to be great dads, be great parents, be great role models. Because I think, Jeff, you and I have been giving this breath of life, which has been amazing. And then we've given this purpose in life that we spoke about earlier in this Zoom about being great dads and being great role models for our kids. And that is my sole purpose, to give the best of myself and leave a legacy. So when I'm no longer here, they can lead by those good examples and lay down their own footprints for their young ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just think today is that's why this environment that you and I are in, that Nadia is in, that we are creating for ourselves, for others, is such a powerful thing, you know?
Yeah, and needed too. No, beautiful. I just greatly appreciate the offer, mate. It's been great to chat, and thank you so much for being able to share. And yeah, great to see your face and talk to you again, and Nadia to hear your voice. So wish you both all the best. But yeah, mate, we'll be definitely in touch, mate. We won't be losing touch, that's for sure.
Champion, take care. I'm just gonna stay for 2 minutes with Nadia, just say